thank you to everyone for joining us. We don't have too many, but we've got a few of you, which is good, and proof of the concept that the technology seems to be working, so that's even better. And so what we're here to talk about today is about the upcoming 2016 AACUHO Conference and looking at preparing for presentations for it. So if we just go to the next slide, I have to do it that way.
There we go.
So this is who we are. You can probably already see us, but obviously I think most of you know me, but perhaps not all. I'm Vince Wilson, AACUHO Vice President, and my day job is CEO of Deakin Residential Services at Deakin University. And I'll let Laura introduce herself.
Yeah, so obviously I'm the AACUHO President, but I'm also Residential Education Manager at La Trobe University, looking after our sort of student development and support programs across our multiple campuses. Rachel, I've just noted, while Vince is working on that, I'll just run you through the overview of, I guess, our objectives for today. Basically, obviously, we wanted to start by introducing the concept that we're running today with the virtual presentation. It's something that we're really keen to try. Is that working at all for everybody on their screens now? Is everyone seeing the second slide? Yes, lovely. Okay, we'll get back to it.
Okay, that's good news. I have no idea why it wasn't working in the first place. Yeah, so looking at the outline of what we're going to talk about today is talking about, we're looking at launching a sort of AACUHO professional development series, and part of that is today. So we're hoping that throughout the year AACUHO can deliver a bit more of these sort of professional development opportunities for people, especially aimed at helping people to present at our conferences, but also just generally some add-ons that AACUHO can offer. We're also, of course, going to talk about the 2016 conference itself, which is very exciting and going to be upon us before we know it. We'll talk about submissions. I won't go through all these dot points because I think you can now all see the slide on the screen. But basically, I'm going to first have a bit of a chat to you about the conference, and then we'll move on and talk about submissions themselves. So I think everyone has worked out how to type questions, but if anyone is sitting on there and hasn't, this is how. We still might have a couple of more people drop in and join us, so we'll explain to them how to join in the conversation if and when they do. So if we just pop along to the next slide, this is the first time, as we said earlier, that we've ever hosted a virtual presentation. I'm pleased that it is working, despite that minor hiccup a minute ago. And when we review the recording and looking at our confused faces, that'll be quite amusing. It's part of a new, as we said, professional development series for AACUHO, where we're really hoping, and sometimes it might be that we've got an expert internally, but we'll also very much be looking at bringing in experts to talk to members about certain things, and there might be further virtual presentations, and likewise, though, the next event is in person in South Australia, which is an accidental counselling session. So really exciting sort of progression for AACUHO, really moving into that space. I just want to talk a little bit about the 2016 conference itself, and give you, the few of you, a bit of exclusive info on what's coming up. It really will be a fantastic conference in Sydney. Obviously, we're at the Four Seasons Hotel. We're looking at quite an exciting agenda with some great keynote speakers who will be announced very shortly. And that's a couple of big names on the list of keynote speakers. And what we're doing this year which Laura will go into more detail in a moment, but what we're doing with member presentations this year is making them all concurrent sessions, and that's based on some feedback from previous conferences. It makes it a little bit more comfortable for everyone, and it means that you don't have to try and make your presentation valid to every single person in the room. You can make it valid to a specific cohort or type of attendee. So some fantastic opportunities to get involved in presenting at the conference. And the conference itself will be fantastic. The awards dinner will be combined with the 25th anniversary gala dinner for AACUHO. So that, let me tell you, is going to be a big event, which we're organising a fantastic dinner there at the Four Seasons. And we're also working on a really spectacular venue off-site for the closing dinner on the Friday. So all of that will be sort of firmed up fairly shortly, and welcome to Melissa. Hopefully you can see and hear us now. I can see a couple more people have joined us. So anyone who, hopefully everyone can hear and see us, you can join the conversation by typing your comments into the text box on the side of your screen. So that's basically an overview of the conference. It does have a theme which is around celebrating our past and shaping our future. So it kind of gives an opportunity to look in both directions. And within that, there'll be a few different streams. So I might hand over now to Laura, and we'll get to those different streams and different types of opportunities to present in a moment.
Thanks, Vince. So as you can see there, I guess one of the key messages we're trying to get across to our members going into next year is that we really are excited and open about getting as many conference submissions as possible. And there's multiple reasons behind that. The first is from an industry point of view, in that we are keen to obviously add new knowledge and prompt discussion across the housing space, regardless of whatever position our colleagues might be joining us from. Obviously also a conference is as productive and relevant based on the input of its members. So we really do rely on our members to come forward with their fantastic ideas, with their the programs that they're running, with their success stories, with the stories of challenges and lessons learned, to be able to make it a really valuable professional development opportunity for all that are in attendance. On the other side of that space, there's obviously the benefit to members themselves. And we talked about a little bit in an article that we sent out in the lead up to this presentation, that it's a great professional development opportunity for staff themselves in terms of presenting your ideas and your work, obviously getting feedback and recognition in that space, developing your confidence and your reputation and your personal brand in that student housing industry. And it's a great way of opening the door to network. I often comment that going to a conference and speaking just opens so many more doors than just attending, because you find people will come up to you and have conversations. They're interested in your work. They actually want to get to know you and know more about what it is that you're doing. And it's a great way to really meet new people in the industry that you wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to do so. Jumping on to our next slide there, I wanted to touch on, Vince has mentioned obviously that we have changed things up a bit this year, or going into next year. Rather than having our members speak to the entire delegation, we've decided that we felt that there would be value in actually hosting every single session concurrently. So we're still having that traditional member paper style presentation, but we've also added in 2 extra styles, and there's no real requirement to have one of each of these during each session. It's more about our members picking the style of presentation which best suits them. So as you can see there, that traditional member paper style is about more of a lecture style presentation. So it's presenting your ideas, your story, your program, your activity, your event to the body of members that are attending. We'd really like it if you could include research or data. It doesn't have to be grounded in academic theory by any means. But it is always good, I guess, to showcase that you've evaluated or you've done some background work to showcase why that program, why you've taken that program where you have, or if you've been able to sort of evaluate it, tweak it, change it going in over a couple of years. It's really good always, and I think it's really important to not just cover the success stories of a presentation. So it shouldn't just be a necessarily a positive news story, although that's always a good thing. It should cover those challenges that you've faced, the changes that you've made based on feedback that you've had, the learnings that you've had from running that particular program, event, initiative. And what's really important too is that people are attending your session and want to see what they can do from what you've done and how they can transfer that to their own institution, or what they can, I guess, beg and borrow and steal to do something similar. It is really important as part of that session that you still do include time for questions. And I know the feedback that we get consistently is that our delegates love having that opportunity for discussion at the end of a presentation, so that they can query, certain points of what you've covered, or just get in greater detail. Obviously, we encourage you to leave sort of 5-10 minutes of question time and then follow up in break times and things like that. This particular presentation style is the only one that's eligible for the AACUHO Award. And that award goes to the best voted paper for the conference. And once that's been voted for by conference attendees, they do receive a scholarship towards attending the next AACUHO conference over in the States.
And the only little caveat on that is that you have to have at least 10 people vote.
That's right.
So if only 5 people came to a presentation, then unfortunately that one wouldn't be eligible. But there'll be committee members attend each of those presentations to make sure that everyone that does attend does vote. I think it'd be highly unusual not to get at least 10 out of the hopefully 200 odd attendees we're hoping for come to a session.
The second opportunity there is a roundtable or a workshop style presentation, again scheduled concurrently, and these are more designed to be, I guess, informal or interactive. So the idea behind it is that you may present some information initially about a particular activity that you run or an idea that you've had, and then the option is for the group that's in attendance to break up into smaller groups, or to have more of that chat and discussion about what might work or what challenges they've faced. Or if it is some kind of controversial topic, a bit of a debate about how things could work or how they work in their own institutions. The idea then would be obviously to reconvene at the end of that session and either have some kind of debriefing, which you would facilitate, or there might be some kind of presentation by each group that was involved in that discussion. That is one that could have between 1 and 3 facilitators. So you could connect with another colleague that's in your own institution, or perhaps even in another state or another department somewhere. We are really open to obviously having multiple presenters for that particular style. The final one there is what we've called a Q&A panel, and we're really excited about this particular session. Again, it is scheduled concurrently, and the idea behind it is that you would have anywhere between 3 and 4 panel members, maybe less, maybe more, that would share some kind of common interest or expertise. So they might be staff that are all working in the facilities field. And it could be someone from Deakin, someone from La Trobe, someone from VU, someone from CSU, anything like that where you've got that shared common interest. And you host a panel effectively that might discuss a particular topic or might cover a particular activity or event. And everybody has the opportunity to kind of weigh in on it, with obviously that opportunity to either have some questions that a facilitator might prompt, or obviously being open to the audience. As it says there, you can either provide your own facilitator, so someone that actually MCs that panel, or we can also assist by asking one of our committee members to actually facilitate that to help you out. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea about what we're hoping to get out of for each of the sessions. As Vince touched on, one of the things that we're also keen to do for next year is, where possible, make the conference relevant to as many people as possible, from as many backgrounds as possible. So we have, I guess, dovetailed submissions into 4 key areas that are listed there, operations, management, admin, and student development space. And the idea is that members who submit papers obviously self-select where they think their topic falls, and it may cover multiple areas, but also that then the attendees of the conference can kind of look at it and go, okay, I'm a front desk staff member, I want to go to the admin sessions as much as possible, and that they can find as much relevancy without having to attend sessions that may not fall within their remit. Obviously, we can't guarantee that we will have a session in every time that covers one of these 4 streams, but that will be the aim. And certainly for those of you that are in attendance, I would strongly encourage you to speak to your team members about submitting, topics, and whether it's the panel suggestion on the roundtable or the papers, so that we do get that breadth of coverage for all different roles within that student housing space. It's a great opportunity, and I think it's definitely well worth some of our admin team and some of our operations getting up there and speaking as well. Delving a little bit more deeply, I guess, into the streams that are there, you can see that we've listed, I guess, all the ideas that we could possibly come up with that kind of fall under each. And these are by no means limited to these. These are, I guess, just to get those thoughts rolling and to start thinking about what you might wish to talk about under that space. And as I mentioned, a lot of the topics cover a range of these areas. So you might be talking about something that has relevancy for admin and student development, or management and student development, or any of the four combinations there. You are welcome to obviously nominate a stream, and then we can have that conversation with you if we feel that it fits better somewhere else. And similarly with your presentation style, if you submit that your preference is for a paper, but we think that it could work really well as a roundtable, we will give you that option and have that conversation with you, so you can try out what you think might work best. Under that, I won't go through each of the ones that are here, but as you can see, under student development, it is quite a broad range. We are really keen to see speakers talking about things like health and wellbeing, which is obviously a really hot topic at the moment, any kinds of later year support, the student leadership space, and obviously social and academic programs, and there's a huge range of topics that could be covered there. Operations is anything from facilities to the development of new buildings, to catering, to IT, to sustainability, all sorts of topics under that space. And again, management and administration, obviously under management, that's quite a broad term, but it could be about staff development, about trends in the industry, about the demographics of students that are coming through in the next generation. And admin, again, is a very broad area. It could cover anything from new customer service initiatives to technology, to marketing, surveys, and obviously social media and finance and that sort of area as well. Feel free to obviously ask questions at any time via that message system on the left, and we'll obviously either answer them as we go if we feel that we can cover it, or we'll wait to the end. In terms of the basics, I guess what we wanted to do was run through so that you were really on the ball with what you needed to do in terms of submitting it, which we've tried to make it as simple as possible, but also to get as much information from you as possible so that we can either assist you in developing that proposal or in helping you craft it. So obviously the basics that you need are a title, an abstract which just summarises what you're going to be talking about. You need to nominate your stream and your presentation style, and provide details, your own personal details, and the bio of any authors that you might have there. Two new things that we are asking for are your target audience. So that might be where you say, it's for staff that are working on the front desk, or it might be staff that are working in residential life area, or it might be even broader than that. And learning outcomes. Now, I've listed there that there should be up to 3. There doesn't have to be, but ideally you should be able to nominate, I guess, 3 things that anyone that attends your session should be able to walk away with. And it might be something like new skills, or an understanding of the challenges faced by XYZ. And obviously, if you do need any help at any time in putting these together, more than welcome. Vince or I or Kate are happy to help in that way.
And I think, one of the key things as well is we don't want that to create any fear factor. It doesn't need to be either rocket science or war and peace in terms of what you put together for your target audience or your learning outcomes. It's just sort of a bit of a common sense, put something together. It doesn't need to be, because I know we're not all scientists or academics, so it's just having to think about in a logical sense rather than having to tie it to an academic type scenario.
Definitely, and certainly what we're hoping to do is obviously give attendees as much information as possible about what your session will cover, so they go into that session knowing what they're going to get out of it. Cass, I just see there that you commented basics are excellent. They're a bit different to the online form with the abstract synopsis. Are we okay to follow the basics rather than the online form? Hopefully the online form should match, but if there are any discrepancies, please let us know, because I know that there was a little bit of a glitch in the system. So yeah, if there is something that's not actually matching up, get in touch and we can get that fixed so that it is coming through as it should.
Yeah, perhaps if Kate, I know you can't really respond other than typing, but if you could take that on to check, that would be fantastic.
Lovely. In terms of submission criteria, again, I don't want this to stress anyone out. Very much it's a case of us looking at your presentation and making sure that it meets those 3 criteria as much as possible. And again, that is something that we can work with you to develop to chat with you further about. So obviously relevant, which is a pretty easy box to tick. Presentation style, we just want to make sure that you're in the right category. And obviously you can choose that on the basis of your personal preference. So if you prefer a much more informal presentation style, we would definitely recommend the roundtable. But if you're someone that loves, presenting with a formal PowerPoint, then, your member paper might be your best option. And the third point there is really just transferability. We want to know that whatever you're presenting on is going to have, some applicability to other institutions, so that you can showcase the work that you're doing and what it means to be able to transfer it somewhere else. Just some important deadlines, and one of the things that is important to note there is that they are very swiftly approaching. So the 4th of December is our current deadline for a call for submissions. I know that it is an extremely busy time of year, so if you are having any issues with meeting that deadline, or if you know of anyone, please just ask them to get in touch. We're more than happy to have a chat with someone and give them some extra time, just as long as we know that they're in that space, so that we can give them that extra time to be able to submit something. Obviously, it's in everyone's best interest to be able to submit, quality applications and for us to get some really good submissions as well. Somewhere between December and January, over that summer break, we will review the submissions that come through. We may actually get in touch with you via phone or email just to check some of the information that you've submitted, or chat with you about your ideas. And we may also, say to you, have you thought about doing it this way? If we do get, for example, 2 submissions on the same topic, we might even say, hey, why don't you guys join together and do this as a panel, or host this as a joint session. That could be another option as well. And the aim will be next year, around about the 15th of January, that we let you know the status of your submission, so that you obviously can make arrangements and plans around attending the conference, or whatever plans you might need to make in that space. I just wanted to cover, I guess, leading into the end of this session, some helpful hints. And these are the sorts of things that I've found personally helpful when I've been planning for conference submissions. But I think, they're not rocket science. They're a bit common sense, but they are, I think, some really handy things to keep in mind as you go about crafting that submission. One of the things that I really want to stress, and I'd love you to spread the word, is that there are so many people out there in our industry that are doing amazing things, and they don't think that they are, and they are. So they need to share what they're doing and show what they're doing, because we just don't stand up enough and put a hand up and say, look at this program, look at this activity.
And I think we can do that within our own institutions, as well as if we know others in the industry. I know within my team, there's a couple of people who've been just talking to me about things, and I've said, hey, you should present that at AACUHO. So I think, with your own colleagues at your own campuses, but also just if you're aware of other people around, really by doing a lot of concurrent sessions at the conference next year, there's a number of fantastic opportunities for people to share their knowledge and their expertise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Vince is spot on there. I mean, I know when I've run into people at various conferences, or I've heard them present, and I'm like, you guys need to talk about this. Or, I've run into a colleague that's doing some kind of program, and they often say to me, oh, but I'm not doing anything new, or I'm not doing anything amazing. And I'm like, but you are, and you need to share this. And it's not only is it great, as we've talked about, for the industry, but it's a great way for them to really raise their personal profile and brand. So please spread the word that we would love to see submissions on such a diverse range of topics. And if you can shoulder tap people, please do so, because it'd be great to see a real breadth of staff involved.
Absolutely. And nothing to be ashamed by having more than one person from the same institution present, I would add. I mean, obviously, obviously we want a breadth, but at the same time, if you're already presenting something and there's someone else in your team that would be great to present something else, then don't feel like because one person from La Trobe is already presenting that we shouldn't have a second, for example.
Exactly, yeah. And certainly I encourage you guys to think about, cross-institutional partnerships. So Cass, I know that you're obviously looking at options for doing a panel session on off-campus housing. I think that's a great idea with some of your other colleagues in other institutions. The second point there is, what's hot right now. There's certainly no requirement to talk on a hot topic, but there are some obvious topics out there that everybody is talking about, whether it's, changes in the funding for higher education to mental health in the student development space. So if you are doing something or involved in something that is a really hot topic, international students, that's a great opportunity to put that on the radar and show what you're doing. And it is important to think about too that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have run this amazing program. It could be that you just want to get people together in a room and chat about it. So the topic could be, what services do we need to provide for international students? Where does that line fit between what the International Office of a University provides and what a residential provider covers? And that could be the topic for a roundtable, and you get everybody in the room that's interested in that topic and they chat about it. So don't think that there needs to be some kind of amazing achievement that you're bringing to the space either.
But we all do have amazing achievements.
We do.
But yeah, those other two options, especially the roundtables and the Q&As, really give an opportunity to, you don't have to necessarily have some big thing that you're wanting to present.
Yeah. The third point there is just who are your audience. So, we kind of get you to cover that by your target audience question, but think about who you want in the room. If you are trying to attract a certain cohort or a certain group of staff, just keep that in mind as you are obviously crafting your submission there. I mentioned it just briefly before, but we love the idea of co-presenting, whether that's within your own institution or department, or whether it's tapping someone on the shoulder at another university and saying, hey, I know you're doing great things in this space, how about we do something together? So keep that in mind. Presentation style is something that we've touched on already, but if you're not sure of how you want to run a particular session, you're welcome to get in touch or consider, I guess, as I said, what best suits your personal preferences. I love a good catchy title. It's not a requirement, but I always think it's lovely to have something a bit jazzy in there. So we all love our branding and and we're getting very good at it within the accommodation sector. So if you can come up with a catchy title, that's a great way not only of making your presentation stand out from a submission point of view, but it's also a great way of attracting attendees to your session. The last page that we've got here is about your word limit. Do keep that in mind when you're submitting. Obviously, the more succinct you can be about what you're going to be covering, the better. The learning outcomes, as we've said, do not need to be academic. They don't need to be, really bogged down in theory. It's more just about, if you were attending that session, what would you want your participants to get out of it, and what could they walk away from your session having achieved, and what knowledge would they have? And as you can see there, ask us for help. Both Vince and I and Kate are really open to receiving phone calls or emails, any questions that you might have about whether your topic is something that's relevant or how you could craft it into a particular submission style. So do keep that in mind as you're going through this process. And again, we're relying on you guys. You are the motivated ones because you've logged into this session. Absolutely. To spread the word to your colleagues so that we can get as many people as possible getting involved.
And what we'll do as well is following this, we'll distribute this presentation to you guys. And of course you're welcome to share it with your colleagues as well. And we'll have this as a resource that we can share with other people. And once we see what this recording turns out like, we might be able to even put the whole thing up on the website. Yeah, definitely.
Just to give you an idea, I guess there are some examples there. So what we've listed is, you could include something that you're doing that's best practice or you consider to be best practice. It could be an innovative new program that you've run, a marketing campaign, some sort of student initiative, so it could be very much student-driven, an approach that you've taken towards customer service in your at your front desk, whether that's technology-based or a process that you've applied, some sort of new research or study that you're doing. As I said there, a discussion of a hot topic, and it could be, again, a panel of staff across different institutions. There's no real, restriction on this. The sky is honestly the limit. Like if you've got an idea or a topic that you want to talk about, chuck it in the mix, because we're really open to all sorts of ideas in this space. And being the 25th anniversary, we're really anticipating a significant number of people in attendance who are really interested in a cross range of topics as well.
Absolutely. I think it'll be hopefully more attendees than ever before. We're certainly hoping to have north of 200 people in the room, so will be a very wide breadth of different interests. So don't feel that anything you're interested in, there'll be other people there that are also interested. Absolutely. I can see that Siobhan is typing us a message, and we are at now question time. So anyone feel free, now's the opportunity to ask any questions, and we'll attempt to answer them as they pop up on the screen.
We should note too that part of one of the sessions that we will be hosting at the conference will allow for delegates within particular streams to meet together. So there will be an opportunity for the management group to meet, the ResEd colleagues to meet, so that you can actually just have those informal networking opportunities as well, and hopefully get to meet a few more people in that space. Yeah.
I can see Siobhan's just said no questions, but thank you. So you're welcome, and that's okay. Not a problem for being a little late.
We'll let you off.
That's no problem. So well, thank you everyone. If no one does have any questions, then we'll basically end the presentation. But we'll certainly share it with you all for your reference. I can see Cass typing there. If we've got a question.
Lovely.
No? Okay. Very good. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. I must say it's a little bit of a strange experience with all of you being able to see and hear us, but not the other way around. But hopefully you've all gotten something out of it, and glad we've got the technology working for our first virtual presentation. And we'll no doubt see you all at the conference, if not well before. So thank you very much.
Yeah, please do let us know what your thoughts were on this presentation style as well. If it is a success, we are looking, as Vince mentioned at the start, to run some other sessions in this format. It obviously allows staff not to have to leave their location, and it's an easy way of them attending some kind of either professional development or networking opportunity. We do have the capacity to open up obviously for speaking as well, so that could be something we consider down the track. But yeah, definitely get in touch with any feedback you have, any questions, and yes, spread the word. We want as many conference submissions as possible. And thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And we've got one, Siobhan is typing a message, so we'll let that pop up. Two more people. Two or more people are typing.
Okay.
Oh, okay, Siobhan, okay. So what we'll do, we'll make sure we get, we'll send this presentation to Kate and ask her to circulate it to everyone. But there hasn't been anything on the slides that you wouldn't have heard us talk about.
Just waiting for a few more messages to come through.
A couple more messages. Cass has one question, which is one of my colleagues asked with budgets tight if there is a discount for presenters with registration costs. Unfortunately not. As we're going to have a large number of presenters, it's not possible within the AACUHO's budget is also tight, I guess, is the answer to that, and we don't really make a profit out of the conference. It's a break-even scenario. What there is, though, is if you've got an institutional membership, which I think most of you do who dialed in. Melissa's just noted. You get one registration for the conference included in your membership. So you could seek to be that person, or you could use that as an argument to say, well, we've already got one for free. So if we've got a second person that needs to go, that's only paying for one conference registration. So that's a pretty good way to go about it.
We've got a few more people. Lovely. Thanks, Kath.
And this year is actually the first year that institutions have had a conference registration included.
Yes. Now, Kate's mentioned there, look at the awards. Obviously, there are incentives for presenters should you be successful in being selected as the best paper. So there is obviously the best paper award, but as Kate's also sort of indicated, There are scholarships that you can apply for, or awards that you can apply for that provide you with funding as well to potentially attend. So please do look at the award categories. We have also added some new awards this year, and we are really keen to get applications in that space. There's 4 new awards that are for our 25th anniversary, one for customer service, one for, oh gosh, I've got to remember them now, student development or the student experience, another for facility development or management, and the final one is for marketing. So if you are doing great things in that space, there are no financial benefits to those awards, but there is a lot of kudos and credit in the industry. So check those out, do apply, and there's some new professional award, an AACUHO award as well.
So that's definitely a good option. Rachel's just made a great point there, as well in terms of looking internally. Rachel, you've noted that UOW has awards and scholarships to help with getting to conferences and professional development events. I know Deakin does as well. In fact, I've just signed off on an application for one of my staff for a course they were wanting to do. So you can certainly look both to the awards surrounding the AACUHO conference and also to what your own university might offer in terms of special grants or scholarships.
Definitely.
Very good. Are there any final questions? Okay, no one started furiously typing, so we'll say thank you very much to all of you. Please don't hesitate to contact myself or Laura if you do come up with any questions that you want to ask. If you're struggling to find our contact details, just go to Kate, the AACUHO Executive Officer, via the AACUHO website, and she'll put you in touch with us. Look forward to hearing and seeing all of your presentations at the conference, and then catching up afterwards. So it's going to be fantastic, and look forward to seeing all the presentations that come forward. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, goodbye.